Hi guys, welcome back to today's video. I'm Rebecca and today we are going to be talking about superheroes. I'm a huge fan of superheroes and I know that a lot of people are, and a lot of people like the comic books. I've never read any comic books. I've never read anything that has to do with superheroes. I like watching the movies, and I know a lot of people are like, you can't watch the movies and not read any of the books, but that's what I do. That's what I do with Harry Potter. And to be completely honest, the movies were okay. I'm not like a die-hard fan. I don't wanna like stalk Daniel Radcliffe or anything like that. Like no shade to them, but like I'm not gonna do that. I'm not like a die-hard fan. I would never stalk anybody. I don't get into like crazed fandoms. I just like a lot of different stuff and I kind of just cling to different things. Not in like a weird way, just like I feel like a healthy amount. So, and that's also how I feel about superheroes. Though I did almost start crying when, spoiler, not really. If you haven't seen Endgame or Infinity War or any of the movies by now, you're gonna get spoilers. You would have already basically heard the whole movie by now. So when Tony died and Black Widow died, I was very upset. I was not upset Steve is apparently still alive, but I think he's gonna die very soon. But he got to spend the rest of his life with Peggy, so I do not feel bad for him. I do feel bad for Tony, and I did feel bad for, Natasha, because she just didn't she didn't have like a family of her own yet. Her and Bruce didn't like fix their issues yet. No. I mean, maybe they had by then, but I don't think so. I think that they're like still struggling. I don't know. I have this thing in my brain and I'm just like, she's dead and I'm very upset about it, and I'm gonna stop talking about it because I might cry. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna cry about it. It's fine. Okay, so Black Widow is one of my favorite superheroes. I think she has a really cool design, but I do not think she has a cooler design than a lot of others. So I'm going to tell you about my top 5 favorite superheroes. And I do want to say this at the beginning. I think every superhero story is based around a urge of power, like an urge of a lot of people wanting the same thing or wanting what someone else has. Like something with a big level of power is wanted by other things, other beings, other people, like that. So let's just talk about that, and then I'll talk a little bit about the movies that I like that these superheroes are in. So starting with number 5, Iron Man. He's at the bottom of my list. Not because he's not like super cool, but because, all the men are lower than all the women, because I've decided to rank it that way, and I think that Gamora was frankly cooler, and I'm sorry, spoiler alert, she's the final one. I'm gonna focus on the fact that Gamora died later. We're not gonna talk about that right now. So we're gonna talk about Tony first. Well, first off, he is super smart, just has amazing, cool, stuff in his house. He had, at one point, a bunch of suits. I don't know if he remade any of them. They all looked really cool. He made his best friend a flipping amazing Iron Patriot suit, but then he changed it to what is it now? War Machine? Or was War Machine changed to Iron Patriot? I think it was Iron Patriot changed to War Machine. I'm sorry, I know I said I was a big fan, but sometimes you just forget little things about names, because if something gets renamed too many times, I just can't remember. And I don't know if I touched on this already, but I'm sorry I'm nasally. I went from a very cold place to a very hot place to a very cold place again in a very short amount of time. So that's why I'm all nasally and congested and sound really funky and weird. Okay, moving back to Tony. So I think he's just super cool. He made a suit from his friend, and he made a suit for Pepper. And if you didn't see it in the last movie, it is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I want it. I can never have it, and I really think it's like super amazing. And if I ever was to cosplay someone, I want to cosplay that, because then I could make all the parts and I could paint them metallic. And I know as an artist, you're not supposed to like overdo it with the metallic paint, but I want to so badly. Like, it's a slight obsession at this point. I think it's a little unhealthy for me to have this level of like obsession with the suit and metallic paint, because that's really the only reason I want to recreate it. Okay, moving on. So Tony is really cool, made a suit. Yeah. We're gonna move on from that. But the movie that I love him best in is definitely Civil War, and a lot of people are gonna disagree with me on this, but I like him in Civil War because he seems like he's being level-headed, but he's not, and neither is Steve. And I love the fact that they are both so flawed in that movie, and that is what happens when people go to war. Like, I'm learning, I put air quotes around the word learning, because I already learned about this, not the Civil, but the Revolutionary War, and also learned about the Civil War. But just wars in general are caused by people not knowing how to communicate correctly, and just as a result resort to fighting and bloodshed and tears and crime and garbage like that, because they just don't know how to communicate with each other. And that's what that is. And I love them both in that movie. So that's all I have to say about Tony. Moving on. My next one on the list is Ant-Man. I think Ant-Man is so cool. I love how, like, it's so sciencey, but at the same time, like, I can understand it. I don't like science, so I'm really happy about that. I love how, like, it's like the molecules, like, you can shrink the atoms and stuff, and you can go into your microscopic, and that's was the whole like issue in the last movie, is that they were trying to get her mom, I always forget her name, but the Wasp, they were trying to get her mom out. I don't know why I forget her name, because she's on my list. I'm not going to tell you what place she's in, because I already told you the first one, and then I've told you where she was. You know she's either second or third. That's it. You're going to know after I say the next person. But I also really love his suit, because it's like a leather bodysuit, and I think that just looks really cool and really amazing. And yeah, so the movie that I liked him most in is also Civil War, but that was because he became absolute humongous, and I find that hilarious. Because, and then he went all tiny in that movie too, and went inside Iron Man's suit and like messed with it, and he was like, I don't know what's happening, this is your conscience. Like, he's just pulling wires and stuff and messing things up, and I find that funny. I don't know why. That was funny to me. Moving on, next person. The next person is, some people are gonna disagree with me in this, but you know, I really like Nebula. I know she's not technically a superhero, but in my heart she is. I love Nebula because she's just so unaware of how insane she is, or maybe she is aware, but she just acts like she's unaware. I think that's really cool, and I think it's admirable to be completely unaware that you're crazy. I think it's funny. So yeah, that's what I have to say about her. That's it. I'm sorry, it was very quick. And now it's the Wasp. So the Wasp is my second favorite because she has wings. She's better than Ant-Man because she has wings. And because she's a woman who kicked his butt basically every time they fought. And it's kind of like Nala and Simba, except they're not related. I don't want to talk about the Lion King right now. It makes me very uncomfortable. But basically, she's just amazing because she's just better than him. They just made her better, and they touch on that in the movie. Like, why do you get wings and he doesn't? It's just because she's better than him and she deserves them more because she works harder than him, and she's just amazing. And she lost her mother, so she deserves that suit, that winged wasp suit. And moving on to my final one, Gamora. Gamora was trained and she's the daughter of Thanos and all that. But at the end of the day, I just think she's amazing because she worked her butt off to get the trust of Thanos to let her go do stuff so she could get away from him. So, being the best comes at a price, though, as you saw in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Her sister hated her basically for it, and that's why she tried to kill her a bunch of times. Because she always won the fight, because she didn't want to die. She didn't want to get torn apart and put back together again. With new parts to make you stronger, better.
So, yeah, and that is the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope to see you again next time. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!